What's poppin' YouTube? Welcome to another video. Today I'm gonna be doing a trade recap. Why I lost just under 2.4K today, what I did right, what I did wrong, and all of that good stuff. So and I'm gonna also show y'all withdrawal I took today. Show y'all my five Topstep payout email. I don't need y'all to see the amount, but yeah, we got that times 5 accounts, 5 Topstep payouts today. It is Friday. I am very big on paying yourself, so I did take a withdrawal this week. It was very small, nothing crazy, really just to pay for, stuff I got going on. But yeah, with that being said, let's get right into it. So going into the day, I was at first I was neutral. Didn't really know if I wanted to see bears or buys, but once I didn't recognize this SMT that ES put in with NQ, I was more so like, all right, we're probably gonna be bearish, probably gonna see data lows, and I was really just waiting for market open to really confirm that. From here, I'm just waiting. But when market open, we didn't really get much volume, and this is where like the first kind of red flag was. Like I was like, all right, cool, we're slow. Probably gonna pick up once market opens. That's usually when the volume comes in, the volatility that we get usually comes in. We didn't get that today, and this was like the first red flag. I haven't really seen that happen in a long time, to where market opens slow. Usually, when market opens, we do pick up. We didn't do that today. My first trade idea that I was waiting for was this inversion on the 5-minute with the pair with the change in the state. We did close below. We closed beneath this one. Wanted to see it close beneath the second one before I really took my entry. I know some people did take this first one. We had an SMT at the highs here with the ES. ES came all the way up, took these odds. Ended up failing because we never closed beneath the second one. Now, if we would have got this close plus the change in the state, ooh, that's ugly. We would have got this close plus the change in the state. This would have been my short, targeting data lows. We didn't get that, so right now I'm just waiting. Really, I'm just observing price. It's very ugly at this point. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really just watching, and this is where my first mistake came in, which cost me some money. So from here, I ended up going into the 15-second. Recognize we did have like a small SMT at these lows. We had 15-minute highs right above us that I figured that we were going to go attack. I seen the V-shaped recovery here. Ended up taking this long, stop at this low, targeting the 15-minute high. It was a 15-minute imbalance. Price was very bullish. ES was still pushing despite the SMT that we put in. I figured NQ was going to rebalance to that as well. Ended up getting stopped out. That was my first loss in the day. From there, I ended up taking the short right after. I took this short right here. Once we got displacement through this 15-second, stop was my fill was like here. My stop was literally right here, and this is where I made my first mistake. My first target was this low right here, but this is where my first mistake came in at. As you can see, the trade did work, but I'm gonna break down. So what I did wrong with this is so the first trade, that was an avoidable loss, but the second, this one right here, this didn't have to be a loss. Now, the reason that this should have been avoided, I should have recognized price wasn't moving as efficient, and when price isn't moving efficiently, I like to have looser stop losses. My stop loss easily could have been this high right here. The trade still would have worked, but the only thing is, though, I do believe I still would have been stopped out, because knowing myself, once we put in this imbalance, once we got this displacement here, I would have pyramided. Once probably on this can, I would have pyramided. Stop would have been moved. My new stop loss would probably been here, because I know how I trade. I know myself. This is what I would have done. Just seeing this strong displacement through, we got to close beneath a small 5-minute as well. Stop would have now been at that high, targeting these lows still too. Would have been a pyramid, but as y'all can see, price just started to barcode until we made it to my overall target. So it would have been a loss regardless, I believe, just because I know myself, I know my system and how I trade. This is an A+ model for me. SMT at the highs, changing the state, inversion, very good trade setup. Plus you get a new fair value gap, which is just adding in your confluence, and then plus the speed on top of that. It's the macro. you're expecting speed and a quick move to this low, which we did not get. So this would have been a loss anyway. I know that, but the first initial loss, I definitely should have had my stop looser. I definitely should have, managed it a little bit better to where I wouldn't have been stopped out and I wouldn't have, basically hit my max daily loss. But we live and we learn. Still overall happy with how this week turned out. At the start of the week, these accounts were at like $0 because last week I was getting out of drawdown. My accounts were at negative 1,700 last week. I want to say I'm gonna show y'all. We were down bad last week, as you can see. I was really getting these accounts out the gutter, out the trenches, and finally we are there. Able to actually take some profits out. Just cover my bills, cover my expenses. So I'm happy regardless. Still blessed, and I have an extra set of 5 XFAs I have not activated yet that I'm waiting for. Whenever I need to activate them, that's when I'll do it. But still happy with how this week turned out. Still very blessed, very thankful despite the 2 avoidable red day. Well, this would have been a red day regardless. Knowing how I trade, knowing myself, this would have probably still been a red day. But this was an avoidable loss today. Still just trying to grow, trying to improve, become a better trader every day. But yeah, that's where I could have improved on, just having a looser stop. And then just when you see barcode chop like this, just walk away. I know for myself, I probably would have, got stopped out and tried to re-enter right here. Got stopped out again. It would have been probably a cycle, and I probably would have lost a lot more money if I didn't have my personal lockout, just because I know how I usually trade, and I recognize stop. I'm like, this still isn't a bad re-entry here. We tapped the change in the state, tapped the imbalance, got a new inversion. This right here, right at the MAC, right at 10 a.m. as well. You would expect this to go lower. Price just wasn't efficient today. Can't do nothing about that, but just recognize it, de-risk, be smart with your trades, be a lot just better. And honestly, NFP Fridays are usually a lot better for me. This day usually brings good setups, good volume, good volatility, but today didn't do that, so can't be too upset. Just roll with the punches, think longevity. So I hope y'all could have learned something. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.